everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are all doing really well and have had a lovely festive period. I cannot believe that it's the end of the year. I think everyone is kind of in the same boat at the minute. It just feels like time is going so quickly and there are just not enough hours in the day, so it just feels wild. But I am so excited for a brand new year. There are so many things I want to achieve in the next year. So many exciting things that are happening, a lot of changes, and I'm just ready to embrace it all. I thought in this video we could do a little reflection on 2022, the year that has just passed, and then look forward to 2023, and I can chat to you about my goals for next year, answer some of the questions that you've left me on Instagram, and show you how I make my vision boards, because that's definitely something I know you guys ask about a lot, so hopefully this will be nice and informative for you. So 2022 was a year of change, very much so. Kind of carrying on from 2021, I had probably the worst year of my life in 2021. A lot happened within my family and there were a lot of changes. And it took me a really long time to come to terms with it and feel like myself again. I do think when you experience quite a traumatic change, whether it's loss, grief, circumstantial changes, whatever it is, I do think sometimes it can take a really long time to completely feel like yourself again and have your same spirit, your same mojo back. And for a really long time this year, I felt foggy. My brain has felt so foggy. I found it so difficult to focus, especially the beginning of the year. So we actually moved into our apartment in January, which was so exciting. It was so amazing. I'm so grateful to have found our apartment and I absolutely love it. We have just had the most incredible year living here and it's been such a blessing. I am just so grateful to have made something a home and feel so safe and at peace in a house. I moved out of my family house, which I had never left. I've literally lived at home the whole time. I never went to uni and lived away. I was always at home. So it was such a big thing for me. And I'm also such a home person, as you guys probably know. So to make this just feel like a little sanctuary for me and Jack has been amazing and I've absolutely loved it. So yeah, that is 2022. I definitely feel like I'm ending the year in such a good place. And obviously not everything is perfect, but I feel like my mindset towards things when I can't control situations and it feels very stressful and really overwhelming, I think I'm dealing with those situations so much better now, which I'm very grateful for. I'm gonna answer some of the questions you guys have left me on Instagram and then we will go into the vision boards. Question number one, something you have learned this year that you wish you knew sooner. One thing that's become really prevalent in my mind is working hard doesn't equal burning out. You don't have to live this life of hustle culture to be successful and be good at what you do, whatever industry that is, whatever aspect of life that is. You don't have to give it 24/7, 100% all the time. That's not healthy. And I've really noticed, I think this is more coming out of lockdown and then this year it's really been more obvious to me. I function so much better when I listen to my mind and my body and I live a slower life. I actually don't enjoy being so fast-paced, on the go, heading into London 5 times a week, going to bed at 1 AM, waking up at 6, doing the same thing again. That is not enjoyable to me. Being burnt out by the end of the week is what I used to think was productive and successful, and being really busy was always, I thought, oh, I'm so successful because I'm so busy. And if I tell people, oh, I can't do that because I've got so many shoots going on and I've got this going on, that to me seemed, well, you must be successful. But success is a very interesting topic because success comes in many different forms. You might see that in a completely different way to me. You might think of success as financial, numerical. I might see success as feeling happy and waking up in a good mood every single day. And to me, that's definitely something I've learned this year, is that I don't need to always be 100 miles an hour. I can prioritize having a slower life and slower days, and that is what I love. That is genuinely what makes me happy, and if I want to just work from home, I will. I like being in the countryside, I like space, I like having time to do things, and yeah, that's definitely what I've learned this year. And I really wish I knew that sooner, because when I was in my last year of uni, I experienced severe burnout from having a job at Sainsbury's, doing my final major project, setting up my business Monday the Studio, doing Instagram. I also had a freelance job, and I thought I was like on my way to being a girl boss. And my eyelashes fell out, my skin was horrendous. Honestly, like, I didn't realize at the time, but that way of life was such a strain on my brain and my body, and to me that's just not healthy. Question number 2, what to do if you don't know what you want to do in life? I think this is a really difficult question, because obviously everyone is in a completely different situation, completely different ages, completely different way of life. But I think my advice would be, think about what you really enjoy doing, and that could be anything. Even if you really enjoy being outside, think about what jobs you could do that are outside. Or I kind of like think of it in terms of starting backwards. So don't just go out and look for the perfect job to find you, almost curate your way of finding it. So for example, obviously this depends on your age. If you're at school or college or uni, this might work for you, but maybe if you're a bit older, just take it back to basics. Just think about, what do you actually enjoy doing? What do you want to wake up in the morning and spend your time doing? When I was at college, I worked backwards. So I chose my A-levels based on the kind of career path that I thought I would want. So I knew that I wanted to do something creative. I knew that I wanted to be in like the fashion section of the industry. I really enjoyed lots of different elements creatively. So I chose my A-levels based on wanting to do something creative. So I did English language, photography and media studies. And then when I was choosing what I wanted to do at uni, I actually never wanted to go to uni, because I always thought you had to live miles away and do like geography, and I just thought, I don't want to do that, that's not me at all. And then I discovered University of Creative Arts, which is where I went, and I actually went to the campus, which was really near to my house, like a 30-minute drive, so I could live at home, which is what I wanted. And I studied fashion, media and promotion, which was basically a well-rounded look at everything. I did shoot styling, I did shoots in the studio, location shooting, I did promotional products like designing magazines and literally everything. We covered so many things and I loved my course so much. I actually heard, because my brother's girlfriend goes to my uni, and I actually think it's closing down, which is so sad because I really loved my uni. Not so much the uni life I didn't love, but my course, oh my god, I absolutely adored it. I spent so much time doing my sketchbooks and my coursework. I loved it. And then when I was at uni, all of my interests kind of came into one, and that's when I discovered doing content creation for brands, and I could literally merge everything: creative direction, art direction, photography, styling. All of those things came into one, and that's when I set up Monday the Studio. And then with that came the influencer side. So that is a very big, well-rounded way of me saying, try and just think about what you actually enjoy. I do think life is for living, and as much as we do need to work to live, I think if you can find something that you love, there is no end to your career. You can change your career at any stage of life. You don't have to do it when you're young. Don't ever feel like you've run out of time and you're stuck because you don't know what to do, because you could literally do anything. It's just about finding what really makes you feel good and what makes you feel passionate. Sorry about that, my camera just died, so I just had to charge up the battery. But moving on to the next question, how do you stay motivated? I think motivation is something that's often spoke about online, and sometimes when I see people answering this question, I think that's not very realistic, because when I don't feel motivated, I find it really difficult to get out of that cycle. And sometimes it clicks and it's easy, and I have one day unmotivated and then the next day I have loads of ideas. But there are a few things that I have done to ensure that I stay with some level of motivation all the time and stick with that through all the aspects of my life, whether it's fitness, eating healthily, like just general way of life, work, all of these things. So first thing that I have started doing more so this year that has really, really helped is just writing things down. And it sounds so simple, but actually when I speak to a lot of my friends about this and they say that they've stopped or they've fallen off their routines and they can't get back onto it, they always pinpoint it to the fact that they don't plan and write things down. For me, planning has always been the first step to doing anything well, whatever it is. Sometimes that can be a hindrance because I then spend so long planning and never actually execute what I want to plan. But checklists, to-do lists are always the first thing I would do if I've had a bit of a low motivation day or week, or I'm lacking motivation in some area. Every single week I use the notes section on my iPhone, and then that obviously crosses over to my laptop and my computer. So I've always got it near me, I've always got access to it. If I write it on paper, I lose it, I don't take it out with me. I feel like it's just not next to me all the time and I need it to be with me all the time. So every single week without fail, and I've done this for the last year, I write this week to-do list at the top, and then I section this to Monday to Sunday, and I use the bullet point section and I write everything. I never used to write everything that I did, but now I literally write wake up, shower, eat breakfast. I write everything that I want to do, especially if I'm trying to stay on track with a really good morning routine, a really good evening routine, anything, or I don't want to forget things. I just write everything down, and for me that has really helped. And I know that there's a lot of psychology behind that, because when you are ticking things off, it makes you feel endorphins because you're ticking something off your list, you feel accomplished, and it spurs you on to then continue to check things off all day. So that is my first thing, write lists. My second thing is having people around me to keep me accountable or just discuss things. So 3 people in my life that I rely on for these things are my manager Amy. She is so crucial to me staying accountable, and that is much more in a work sense. So if I say that I want to do 2 YouTube videos a week, for example, that was one of my aims for this year. I wanted to get a really good routine with YouTube, stick to it, make sure that I was always hitting the targets that I wanted to hit in terms of views, quality of video, type of video, and the amount of videos. She is so good at keeping me accountable, and because I voiced that to her and said, please can you make sure that I stay accountable, I created a spreadsheet with my YouTube videos in for the month, so I'm always on track. She always knows what I need to film. If for some reason I didn't film something, she would know about it. So that really does keep me accountable. My second person is my mum. This is more just general life. My mum really is my rock and keeps me sane about anything. I voice note her probably about 18 times a day, probably more than that to be honest. We voice note when we get up. I tell her like my plans for the day. If I'm in a bit of a low mood or I'm just like I can't be bothered to do anything today, she always comes back with like a quote from a podcast or tells me things that I should do, or she just makes me feel better for having certain moods, and I can bounce off her in that way. And my third person is Nadia. We have literally made such a pact this year of noticing that when we're in a bit of a rut with filming or styling outfits or even just our general mood about life, when we discuss things together, we then have like inspiration and energy, and we're like, yes, okay, motivated, let's do this, we'll smash it. And that really helps a lot. So to-do list, accountability person, and also setting goals. I think if you're struggling with motivation, strip it back. Don't give yourself 1,000 things to do at once in one day. Start small. So the last few weeks, I really wanted to just move my body a bit, and I think I spoke about this in a vlog recently during Vlogmas. So that's what I did. I just got my mat out. I was wearing some pajamas or leggings and a hoodie, and I just put some music on and just moved. And I didn't say to myself, I have to do this in the morning. I just put it in my checklist to do at some point in the day. And sometimes for me that works a bit better, just allowing that freedom and not having a regimented structure because sometimes I wake up and it's freezing cold, it's -3 outside, and I don't want to go and do a Pilates workout, but I might want to do it at 4 o'clock. So yeah, being flexible with yourself and setting goals that are achievable, that aren't blue sky thinking, that's great for your year goals to manifest, but not necessarily day-to-day goals, because you will end up feeling demotivated because you feel like you haven't accomplished it because it was actually unachievable. Okay, this leads me on to my 4th question. How do you get through bad days? I always get comments saying that I'm really energetic and like a really nice vibe and things like that, which I love, and that is just the nicest compliment anyone can ever give you. So I'm so grateful, so thank you if you've ever left a comment like that. But I have my bad days, and especially the last 2 years, I've had a lot more bad days than usual. Life gets a bit shit, doesn't it? And it's really hard to navigate sometimes. And sometimes there is not even a reason to be in a bad mood, but you just are. I don't even like saying a bad mood because that sounds negative. You just don't feel your normal self. I get like a really foggy brain. I find it really hard to wake up in the morning. I can't be bothered to do anything. I get days where I can't be bothered to shower. I can't be bothered to wash my hair. I can't even be bothered to brush my teeth. Everything feels like such a heavy weight, and all I want to do is literally just sit and stare at the TV, or sometimes just sit and stare at the wall. And I really do get days like that, but I've come to realize that when I lean into those feelings, I feel better. So one thing that really is self-sabotage if I'm having a bad day is feeling guilty. And because my job isn't a normal 9 to 5, I don't have to just get up and go. I have the flexibility to be able to say, okay, this afternoon is a write-off, we'll come back to it tomorrow and I will do more work tomorrow, or I'll work on Saturday or Sunday. That's a real privilege to have. So listening to my mind and my body and going with the flow of that has really helped me. And as much as I hate to say it, because I really don't like it when people say fix your bad day by doing all of these things, getting fresh air and being outside has honestly really helped bad days in the past. I am very prone to staying at home all week and not going out, not seeing anyone, and being a bit of a recluse. I know that I am like that, and I'm very aware of it. So if I just get out for a walk, even if I walk to the shop next door, the post office, go in the car, drive to town, walk up the high street and come back, I really try to do that. And even if I'm literally going out to take the bin out, as soon as that fresh air hits, it's like a reset. I can't explain it, but if you are having a bad day and you haven't thought to do that, I really recommend it. If you have a garden, just go and sit in the garden. Even if it's really cold, put a coat on, walk around your garden for like a minute. It really, really does help. And smaller things that I do if I'm having a bad day, I always tell my mum. In the mornings, I will always discuss with my mum about my mood and how I'm feeling and my plans for the day. I do that every day anyway. And that helps because I voiced it. But equally, you could write that down, you could journal. I have done that a lot in the past. And I just let myself sit in the mood. I don't think you have to be productive all the time and think, okay, I'm in a bad mood, what do I do to change it? I need to be proactive and adjust this. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can just sit in the mood and know that tomorrow's a new day, next week is a new week. Things are changing. Your mood is gonna change all the time. We're humans. So I hope that helps. And also, I'm really sorry if you are really struggling with bad days, because it is the worst feeling, and I can totally relate to you, especially doing YouTube. The last year or two, I found it really hard to hide my bad days, so I ended up just not filming because I didn't want to share those things online. So yeah, I can very much relate. Okay, so I have a couple of other smaller questions that I thought I would do a bit more quick fire, because I know I could talk forever and ever. Some of them I'm going to touch on in a little bit when we do the vision boards. But firstly, I really love this question. What was your 2022 peak and trough? A peak for me was 100% moving into the flat. That was the most incredible experience moving in, and I'd never really moved house before, so actually moving and getting the keys that day, Jack was working so I had to come on my own, and that felt, I mean, we're only renting, but that felt wild. I couldn't believe that I was living on my own with a boy. It was so weird. I just felt like 14 again. It was the weirdest feeling, but also so exciting. And I had wanted to live with Jack for years, and I know that my mum and my friends were probably sick of me saying, oh, when I live with Jack, or when I live with Jack. So for that to be a reality, still I'm like pinching myself that that's happened, because I just couldn't wait for it. When we hosted on Saturday, I actually, before they arrived, I was standing in the kitchen looking at it, and I literally felt like I was going to cry, because I thought, this is everything I wanted and I have it. Anyway, so that was my peak, 100%, and it's only just getting better and better. Living with Jack is just the best thing in the world. It's literally like living with your best friend. And a trough for me, probably the worst point of this year that I'm happy to speak about, is when I lost my Instagram. That, it sounds very superficial, but that was the worst moment ever. That is my whole career. Social media and the internet is my career, and not really having much to fall back on was very scary, and something that is very much in my plans for next year, which I will touch on later. But that was a really scary moment for me, and I had no control over that. That was horrible, and there was nothing I could do about it, nothing anyone could do about it, and it was really, really scary. And it just felt really deflating, and yeah, that was definitely a low point for me. And I just want to say, actually, the amount of you guys that realised I was missing stuff to start with, I think sometimes in this job, because I don't see you in real life, I mean, I would love that. I would love to host something and have like a big girly day, but because I don't see you and it's a number on a screen or messages on a screen, it doesn't feel tangible. It doesn't feel real. So for people to actually realise I'm not there is quite wild, really, quite mind-blowing. So yeah, I was so grateful for all of your amazing messages and support during that, and afterwards as well. It was a bit shitty, to be honest. Do you want kids? Yes, I do. I think I would be an amazing mum, and I absolutely cannot wait to be a mum, and for me and Jack to be a mum and dad and start a family. It is, I feel like, was my sole purpose in life, was to create things and make people happy and have a family. I am such a giver, and I love making people feel happy and like see things in a really great way. So to be able to have a child and mold that child into a grown-up person that has their own beliefs and their own morals and their own personality is crazy. Yeah, I definitely want kids. Not really anytime soon. I do have things I want to do before then, and I'm only 24, so I have my life planned out in my head of how I want it to go. So it's not on the cards just yet, but yes, 100%. Moving on to the second section of this video, which is going to be vision board and setting goals and intentions for the next year. So I had loads of you guys asking what my goals are for next year, what brands I want to work with next year, and things like that. So I thought we could just go into it. So when I'm setting my intentions for the following year, I always like to do it in kind of like end of November to this time of year, so like end of December. I give myself a nice chunk of time to start thinking about it. I don't like to rush it. I don't just sit down one afternoon and go boom boom boom, here we go, these are all the things I want to do. I spread it out, because I always think of new things and I forget. I'm really forgetful, so I like to give myself a lot of time. In my notes page on my laptop, I write 2023 goals. I split this up into 3 categories. So I have career, life, and learning. You could split this between travel, health, school or university, studying, anything, just whatever works for you and your goals. So my career section is all about work. I have numerical goals that I want to hit, more specific kind of brands I want to work with, kind of more content-based goals that I would like to reach. And then I also have like potential business things that I would like to achieve as well. Then in my life section, this is much more just about me and my general life aside from work. So I have more things that are like fitness based or my priorities, things that are going to make me happy, things like that. And then I also have learning, which is a new one that I've added this year. I usually just split it between career and life, but I've decided to add learning because there are a lot of new things that I want to start next year. I felt like it deserved its own section. So once I have got my sections, I then bullet point all the things that I would like to achieve, and these can be anything. They can be things that you think are so out of reach, you're never going to achieve. Write it down, because you might. I don't think there's any goal that's unachievable. If you really want something and you do put your mind to it and you know how to get there, or you find out how to get there, you will. I do like to keep my goals realistic. This is just me, because I find it quite disheartening if I get to the end of the year and haven't ticked things off. It annoys me. So I keep them relatively realistic, but I do have things on there that perhaps I know might not happen. It might happen the following year. Once I've written out my list on my notes, I then go into Pinterest, and I don't know why, but my brain works where I need to have everything in every single different category. So I create a Pinterest board, which is for my vision board. So I've actually got a lifetime vision board, which I put pictures of my dream house, my wedding, like family things that I would love to do, just life things. And then I have specific vision boards for years. So 2023 vision board, I then start adding pictures that relate to those bullet points. I do it like this. I don't know why. I think it's because I spend a lot of time on Pinterest, so I always see it, and then I can add to it quite easily if I want to. But you don't have to do this step, it's not crucial. So once I've gathered all my images in my Pinterest board, I then go into Canva, and that is where I make my vision board, and I utilize this image across lots of different ways. You can use Canva. I've used InDesign in the past, Photoshop. You could do a physical one and print out pictures or cut them out of magazines. I just like to use Canva because I always use it, so it works for me. And then I literally just bring the pictures into the board on Canva. I use that as my phone background, and you can print it out if you want. And I just like to refer back to it and always just remind myself of my goals. So let's go into the vision board, and I will talk you through a little bit of it. I'm going to put the vision board on screen here so you can see it, and then I'm going to look at my screen so I can see what I'm talking about. Firstly, I've got this really gorgeous scenic photo of a horse. I'm terrified of horses, so the horse means nothing. This is more about really embracing my lifestyle in the countryside, and I love the countryside. I really love living here. Living in a flat really does limit you when you're in the countryside. You don't have the garden, you don't have the outside space. So this is just more about embracing the garden and just enjoying every single aspect of going on walks, embracing the nature and all of that stuff. Then I have this photo here, which is Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. This was actually on her Instagram a while ago. This is a picture of her visiting her house when she was renovating it. So that is quite crucial for my year next year. We will be moving house and we will be renovating. We have a huge project and a lot going on house-wise, so that is the reference for that one. Very similar with this one, paneling. I've always dreamed, I know everyone has paneling and you're probably all sick of it, but I've always dreamed of having really intricate paneling and ceiling roses and amazing skirting boards and just all the tiny details, and me and Jack are going to do it ourselves, so I'm really excited for that. And then I have my learnings. Firstly here I have the piano. So I had piano lessons when I was younger. I had them at primary school. When I left in year 6 I didn't continue them, and I actually got a keyboard for my birthday. This is years ago. And I ended up teaching myself using YouTube and like music sheets and stuff. I taught myself how to play quite a few songs. It wasn't very good, but I really enjoyed it, and I spent hours learning songs, and then I would sing along and show my mum, and I loved it, and I really miss doing that. It was such a nice way to switch off. So I would really love to get a piano next year and just have that as a hobby. I don't really have any hobbies aside from working, so I think it'll be really nice for me to have something that I can spend my time doing when I haven't got anything to do or I want to switch off. That is what I can do, and I would really like to get good at it. Then over here I have reformer machines. We do actually have a couple of outbuildings at the house, and one of them we are hoping we can turn into a gym. So having a reformer machine is going to be so life-changing. So I'm really excited to have my own reformer machine and get really good at it and do classes online and teach myself things and just have that 1 hour in the day where I know that it's benefiting me a lot. Another learning is this picture here, which is cooking and baking. You guys know from Vlogmas, I'm not the best at baking. I'm not too bad at cooking, but I don't really do many things from scratch. So I really want to get better at it. I want to spend more time making things. Like I would love to make fresh pasta and even just like pasta sauces. I don't make things like that from scratch. And they're so easy to do. So I would really love to just make more things from scratch, bake more, learn recipes, and just spend more time in the kitchen learning things. This picture is based around me and Jack having a holiday. So we haven't been on holiday together for ages. I would love for us to just go away for a week on a beach and just relax, and he can just switch off from work. We can just have an amazing time together with no one else around, and that is something I'm really manifesting for the summer. And then I have a couple of kind of beauty related ones. These are mainly about feeling my best natural self. So I really want to just get my skin incredibly amazing. Hydrofacials I've started doing, which I love. Drinking more water, just all the things that contribute to having amazing skin. And the same with the nails as well. I'm really on a journey with Biab to grow my nails, get them really strong. I just want all my natural elements to be as good as they can be. And then you probably would have spotted the Dalmatian. You guys that follow me on Instagram or know me know that I'm obsessed with Dalmatians, and getting a dog is something I actually never wanted to do, which is really strange. I never wanted a dog. I used to say to Jack, I'm not really fussed about having a dog. Maybe we'll wait till like our kids are older and like one day. But more recently, I have loved the idea of having a dog. I think because we've lived together and I'm always at home, I just love the idea of having a little friend with me all the time that I have to look after, that I can take out on walks and just all these things. And I feel very ready to get a dog. So perhaps it will be next year. This is one of the things that I think it could be next year, it could be the year after. It depends on life, it depends on the house and other factors, so we will see. And then you may have noticed a couple of home related things on here. So I have this image here, which is from Athena Calderon. I have this image of a canvas, and I also have this image here. You might recognize this logo as it's very similar to my Monday the Studio logo. And there is a lot I want to do next year surrounding interiors, home, lifestyle. I don't want to go into it too much because I would like it to be a surprise, but yes, there is a lot in my brain that I want to do. I'm getting a red neck because I'm getting nervous about talking about this. But yeah, just know that next year, hopefully in the spring, I will have something coming that I think you guys will love, which is very exciting. And another thing that I can talk about is I really want to utilize our home to do a lot more shoots, content creation shoots. I hit a bit of a road with Monday the Studio, and I didn't really feel like I had the means to provide really good content that I used to in my old house. I felt like I hit a bit of a brick wall, and it slowed down a little bit, and it's kind of taken a back seat, which is totally fine. But next year, I just really want to put more time and energy into working with brands on content for their platforms, much like I used to, working on creative concepts and utilizing the house that we have designed and created and the space around it, the countryside, the natural elements, the flowers, all of the things. I want to just combine those two elements together and just shoot beautiful imagery, because that is what I love. And that is pretty much everything on my vision board. I also do have a couple of things that aren't on the board. So for example, focusing more on interiors and renovating a house and learning all the things about that. I really want to put all my energy into YouTube. It is just my favorite platform. I feel like you guys can actually sit down and get to know me, and I could talk for hours and hours, so I really enjoy it. So I would really love to grow my YouTube platform and just create a really nice community of women on here, and men. I know some men watch my videos, and chat more in the comments and discuss more things and just be more open with you guys and share more of my life with you without being scared to. And then in terms of brands that I would like to work with next year, I would love to work with brands that align with me and my lifestyle really well, particularly brands that I already use and love, whether that's homeware, beauty, lifestyle, fashion. I would definitely love to do some more fashion collaborations because that's something I haven't really done as much of this year. So working with some of the brands that I buy from and love would be incredible. That's definitely on my vision board for next year. And of course, doing a lot more home content. So if that could be brand content, that would be incredible. That is also going to be a huge part of the content next year. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. So I think that is everything. I feel like I've spoken so much. I'm gonna pass out because I'm running out of breath. But I really hope you have enjoyed this video and it's given you some advice or inspiration for your own vision boards. Would love to see your vision boards, so do send me pictures or tag me on Instagram if you post them. I would love to see. And have an amazing, amazing new year. I hope you enjoy it so much. I am currently skiing, so I will be back beginning of January, reset myself, get myself organised and jump straight back into it with the healthy routines and just living life in a positive, happy way. So I love you all so much. Thank you for all of your support this year. It's been incredible and I honestly couldn't ask for, I'm gonna cry saying this. I couldn't ask for a better community of people. You are just all so amazing. My eyes are literally watering. So on that note, I will see you in 2023.